Hello, and welcome to the Wade Borth Podcast. I'm Wade Borth, your wealth strategist, and today we're going to talk about an article that was written in CNN Business. And the title of this article is called New Threat to the Economy. Americans are saving like it's the 1980s, and it's a threat to the economy. I was absolutely appalled when I read this. I sat there and go, all the things that we teach our clients and teach people on what's responsible money management are things that they see as a threat to the economy. So it really made me wonder and kind of got me thinking about, well, it's a threat to who? Is it a threat to you? Is it a threat to me? More than likely not, because they're saying what's happening is Americans are slashing their spending, hoarding cash, and shrinking their credit card debit balances. And I'm sitting there going, this is exactly what we teach people. If you go out to sagewealthstrategy.com, it's our website, take a look on there. We talk about some of the 7 principles of prosperity that are there to get you out of debt and take control of your financial future. And part of that isn't so much hoarding cash, like they're saying here, but more along the lines of taking control of that cash. If you're going to put it to work, we encourage you to put it to work. Money needs to flow in order to be valuable. But according to this headline, Americans are hoarding cash and shrinking their credit card debit balances. And again, just made me wonder, this is a threat to us, or is it a threat to somebody else? Maybe like those controlling the banking function right now. Is it a threat to Wells Fargo? Is it a threat to Visa and MasterCard and all the people that are trying to take control of you by controlling your money? So as I read this article, I was wondering who paid to have this thing written, because it seems like it sure was written for the purpose of having you getting back into debt. Most people would agree that getting out of debt is a great thing, unless, of course, you're the person that's making the money off of somebody being in debt. And as I was reading this article, I thought, well, I understand that we have to have money, we have to put it to work. But what most people don't understand is that who should be in control of the banking function? The banking function should be done at the you and me level, right? I should control my banking function. And that's one of the things we teach. And again, you can read more about that on our website, sagewealthstrategy.com. But again, this article was just talking about how this is the huge threat. And let me just read you a couple of the bolded headlines that are inside this article. They talk about uncertainty and fear, which again, during this time is very understandable. There's a lot of uncertainty and fear, but why is there uncertainty and fear? It's because people have very little control. Those that have control of their money, control of their finances, have a lot less uncertainty and a lot less fear, because they're the ones that are in control. When you have somebody else driving your financial bus, and that person has a heart attack and dies, you better believe you're going to have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear going on. So, I'd encourage you to start thinking about that process and say, how do I, as an individual, take control of that financing function of my life? We've been conditioned to think. I actually wrote a blog on sagewealthstrategy.com. You can read it there, but it talks about the downfalls, the pitfalls of following conditioned thinking. Is that once they have this condition to think a certain way, they're the ones that have control of this. So think about you taking control, you driving yourself to where you want to be, versus having somebody else drive you there and telling you how to get there, when to get there, and in what process to go about it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a free ride. When you have somebody else driving the bus, they're the one that's taking all the responsibility. And if you don't like having responsibility, if you want somebody else to take care of you, then what I'm talking about probably isn't meant for you. But the point is, if we take control of our own financial future, we're going to be put in the driver's seat. And with that opportunity to be put in the driver's seat comes additional responsibility. And that is, taking good care of our dollars, taking good care of our money, being responsible, loving our family and ourselves more than we love Wells Fargo. And again, there's a blog you can read about that as well. So again, uncertainty and fear is usually an outcropping of not being in control of your finances and not having access to dollars when you need it. The next headline says credit card debt collapses, which I found rather interesting. is that they see that as a problem, as an issue. So as I think about it, credit card debt collapses. Again, we teach people to get out of credit card debt. Don't be enslaved to the credit card companies that are charging you 15, 18, 20% interest. And if you're making minimum payments, you'll never get out of that debt. And even if you're making more than that, the fact is, if you understand the real cost of using those dollars, why wouldn't you do it yourself? I have no problem using credit cards. I use them all the time. They're a great tool, but like anything else, a tool that isn't used correctly can end up being very dangerous. So credit card debt, definitely you want to get out of it. And again, this article sees that as a threat because, and again, I have to ask, a threat to who? Is it a threat to Visa or MasterCard? Who is it a threat to? The next headline is savings rate spike to Reagan era levels. Well, I'm like, hey, that's great. I love the fact that people are saving because we need money. We need access to cash. The question is, where are we saving it? Where are we putting it to save it? Are we using it? Is it growing uninterrupted compounding once we start saving it? And then we do need to use it. Do we understand how to put it to work for us while it still continues to grow and compound? And those are all things that we can talk about. But the first step is to understand that you want to save. Control your spending, control your dollars, and that's really what you want to do first, is control those dollars. And where they're going is probably the most important thing is, where can we put it so that it can have uninterrupted compounding? So the next one, this is Main Street is hurting. There's no doubt about it. If you're part of that Main Street, or if you have a small business, I'd say that probably the best way to get around that, or really not get around it, but the best way to survive that is to have access to cash. One of the things that I've heard a long time ago is the reason for most business failures, especially in the first 3 years, is undercapitalization. They don't understand that they need to have a pool of money sitting on the sidelines just in case we're running into situations like we're having right now. Again, this article, I was a little shocked when I read it, when they said the new threat to the economy is America's increased savings rate, and they were saving like the 1980s. Well, I see that as a good thing, a positive thing. If we live on credit and we live on that leverage, when leverage is used against us, it can be used against us in a very hurtful and harmful way. So I would say, take control of your finances, take control of the banking process in your life and your business, and do it in a way that you understand that I can be the one that's in control, and that's going to eliminate not maybe all uncertainty and fear, but definitely can help soften some of that uncertainty and fear. And when you do buy stuff, make sure that you understand that the use of your dollar, even when it's you using your own money, your own cash, that cash has value. So we have to put it back with principal and interest back to the place where we got it from. Because if we don't, what are we doing? We're basically, by our actions, are saying that we have our cash has no value. And so if our cash has no value, then if we don't see that it has any value, then why would anybody else see it as having value? So again, respect your money. Understand the infinite banking concept. Understand that you are your own best customer. And so when you are your best customer, you have to treat those dollars with a special purpose. And that purpose is to grow your inventory in that business. And that inventory just happens to be cash. And so as we buy stuff, as we use our money, understand how the banking process works and apply that to our everyday lives. And again, you can read Nelson Nash's book called Becoming Your Own Banker, The Infinite Banking Concept. Take a look at my website, sagewealthstrategy.com. There's a number of blogs and illustrations of how that might work, or give me a call or drop me an email, wade@sagewealthstrategy.com, and we can talk about how you can take control of your banking function and you can lower the fear and uncertainty that uncertain times bring.